Okay, and welcome to the TADSummit Innovators. I am really excited to have Mark here from SEKURA.id. I'm going to let Mark introduce himself and SEKURA.id. We're going to keep this short because we've been spending too long chin wagging before this. But Mark, please introduce yourself and SEKURA.id, please.
Alan, Johnny, it's such a pleasure to be joining you today. Thank you for taking the time and thank you for the invite. So my name's Mark Harvey, CEO and co-founder of SEKURA.id. We basically specialize in mobile identity. So very quickly, what does that mean? We work with mobile operators all around the world, and we help them expose their data in a compliant way. So that's things like KYC, SIM swap, mobile authentication. There's about 66 different types of signals that we can expose. We've been trading now for a few years, very, very steadily growing. And I'd like to say making an impact in the space.
Cool.
Excellent. I just want to chin wag one quick thing here, a little bit out, which I don't know, never heard chin wagging in my life before. I learned all these great words from him, Mark. It's unbelievable. But look, first of all, I want to thank you because I've been watching and following SEKURA, and obviously called you out online. And I want to thank you for really coming on. A lot of people don't want to come on, other than guys like the Bird or Minicelli or true. I call them true rock stars. Will come on the show with us. Everybody else will kind of run. Why? We know why. But so I want to. I'm just, and we can get into it. You and Alan, you can start to get your geek on. But what amazes me is how much how well you're being adopted and how well you guys are being received. I mean, it's a really heavy lift what you're doing. At one point, I want to know is what is your secret sauce that you're actually got people implementing you in a country where they don't even want to hear about what you do. So from the U.S. side, what you're doing and what I'm seeing is really impressive. And I just want to congratulate you on that. And thank you for coming on.
No, look, Johnny, thank you. And look, I think to answer your question, what's the secret sauce? It's nothing other than focus, right? I think in the world,
but there's so many identity companies. Everybody's it's the new oil.
And listen, that's the point that I'm coming on to, focus, right? So you look at the word identity, it's holistic. Right? It can mean multiple things to multiple people. What we do as SEKURA, we're specialists and we specialize in mobile identity. So we don't work with credit reference agencies, any other government agencies or anything like that. We work exclusively with mobile operators, and some mobile operators have APIs, right? And I know, Alan, don't laugh, don't like the word API, I know gets to you guys, but they let's call it service available, right? They have teams. Yeah. You've then got a category of MNOs that want to play in the space, but they don't have the CapEx, they don't have the know-how, etc. Right? And then you have the third category of MNOs that, you know, identity is not even a thing for them right now. They're maybe a tier 3 kind of operator that they're just not there. Yeah, we're predominantly working with the Section 1 and Section 2, and the Section 2 guys are now even using us and using our technology. So our platform, as you know, I'm such a privileged guy. Our co-founder and CTO, a gentleman by the name of Gautam Hazari, he was the architect of what was called Mobile Connect. Okay, so and I come from the GSMA. Some of the others come from the GSMA. So again, back to that secret sauce, Johnny. We've been bought up. Right, that's kind of our mother's milk, if you like. Right, we've been brought up on that. We've now created a company and we're commercializing. But focus is really what the secret sauce is about.
Yeah, but to get as many operators signed up in the only few years you've been around, is it the relationships? Is it the trust that people have in you guys? I mean, Alan, how many calls have you gotten from identity calls since we announced we're going to have SEKURA on?
We've had quite a few. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Why? They're following you. So I mean, you're leading the way. I guess you're the bird now that Twilio has been unraveled as a $70 billion.
And look, to that question, Johnny, right? I think in the early days for us it was difficult because one, we were bootstrapped, right? We weren't one of these companies that went to Wall Street, raised tens, hundreds of millions on a PowerPoint deck or anything like that, right? We went bootstrapped, you know, dipped into our child's trust funds and everything else. Don't tell them that, by the way. So you must ban them from watching this. But we bootstrapped, and what we did, we went to the operators and said, look, we're not going to do what everybody else does, which is promise you the world, right? This stuff takes time. And so honesty is one of the, you know, from SEKURA's point of view, when we sit in front of an operator, we won't promise stuff we can't deliver, right? So we started in the UK, in our own backyard, right? And we went and got some business. And, you know, we've got some great anchor clients, GB Group being one of them. They were our first ever customer and they're still with us today. They're expanding across the world. And it's true partnerships, right? We haven't always had it easy. We haven't always, you know, we've hit a few bumps along the road. I've got to be honest, right? But those types of companies have supported us through that. So it's trust, right? So we build slow.
But today you're moving. So whatever happened yesterday is gone. What matters is where you are today. And today, all I hear is new wins, new wins, new wins, new wins. I'm like, what's going on?
The 2.6 billion people is what we cover around the world today, right? I wake up in the morning and I have a smile because that's 2.6 billion people that I'm preventing from being, you know, defrauded by the bad actors out there.
Now,
right
is that 2.6 billion just using Mobile Connect, or is that broader?
That 2.6 billion, and the way we get to that number, Alan, and it's a good point. So we take the mobile subscribers from each mobile operator and basically add those together, right? So the biggest one, which was a win for us most recently, is India. So obviously that really jumps the numbers. But
which is an interesting deal I want to ask you about later.
Yeah, but that's, you know, if you combine all of our operators together, there's about 75 MNOs today that are connected into our network. And that grows, right? That's a continued little drip. So if a big global enterprise come to us and said, hey, what's the coverage that you've got population-wise? Today, it's 2.6 billion people.
Gotcha. Understood. And when you started, the focus was it silent authentication using Mobile Connect, or did you take a different approach?
We jumped in on the SIM swap side.
Gotcha.
And, you know, what I would say is SIM swap, and it's a service that we call mobile to person matching. We don't call it KYC. There's a nuance, and we can maybe come on to that.
I like that, mobile to person
matching, or MPM, right? That's what we call it.
MPM.
And the main reason for that, and I will actually tell you now. So when we trialed mobile to person matching first, everybody that was using a credit reference agency said, well, isn't this KYC, right? And we said, well, yeah, but it's called mobile KYC, right? The difference is you can buy CRA data at a couple of cents a dip, right? It's cheap. Mobile operator data is 10 times that and sometimes more. It's expensive in comparison. The difference is it on the outside, it looks the same, but it works differently because the CRA will not give you a mobile number that is associated to that person that's active to that account today. So the way that actual name came about, mobile to person matching, I've got to say thank you to my wife after about 3 glasses of wine in the kitchen. Because,
excellent.
You know, we were pulling our hair out because we knew it was a very valuable product. If somebody is onboarding, you know, into a bank, an online gambling site or whatever, they enter a mobile number and address. I can go to a CRA and say, yes, it is Alan Quayle at that address, but I can't say, and yes, that's Alan's number.
Exactly. Yeah.
The mobile operator data tells me that. Right.
But also there's a real-time component. That's Alan's number today, or this minute, or at least this week.
Right now at this very moment in time. So SIM swap and the mobile to person matching were the 2 products that we launched in the UK. SIM swap basically.
Who's your biggest consumer of SIM swap? Is it the carriers themselves?
Tier 1 banks.
Gotcha.
Tier one banks. So it's your and I'm sure they won't mind me saying it, but I'll leave it with tier one banks.
Yeah,
I don't
no,
get into
yeah,
trouble, but
exactly.
it's the big guys, right? And
Yeah,
what we've seen is over the last 18 months, there's more e-commerce players. It's the online gambling gaming community that are picking up these types of things, and it's post-pandemic.
yeah,
Since the pandemic, we all know everybody got forced to go on this digital journey, etc., which is great, right? Because we could see it happening, but it was taking time. We've now been forced. The bad actors and the fraudsters are loving it
yeah,
right now,
yeah.
right?
Oh,
Fraud is going through the
feel
roof.
that.
Read any report, right? For McKinsey report, whatever, fraud is going through the roof. So everybody's now catching up or trying to catch up
Yeah.
on where do we plug all of these holes. And the service is there, right? It's available from us. It's available from a couple of others. The challenge is what the M&Os are trying to charge compared to what the size of the problem is.
Yeah.
Pricing needs to kind of stabilize a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, highly variable per country. It's
Very
pretty crazy.
very.
And the fact is, identity is an existing, or identity verification is an existing sort of, there are many different providers. Some are more database centric, as you said. Some are a little bit more dynamic because they've done acquisitions, like, MasterCard bought
Carter.
Yeah, and then you got basically, Okta did an acquisition as well. Now I know some of them, I guess for the more traditional
Okta had that.
identity,
Okta got Cineverse though.
they got some.
Okta, yeah, they got Cineverse. They got hacked.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
Cineverse, like Cineverse gets
yes,
hacked. Yeah. People been there for 20 years and nobody knows.
Yeah.
Cineverse doesn't even know where they are.
So Johnny and Alan, I think that's the other difference, with what we do. So we don't keep any data.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
What we do, it's a real time. So the bank or the enterprise, whoever it is, will call, and I've got to use that word, Alan. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
API,
it's okay. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But our API is very special. It is truly a single API, and it's scopes, right? So we don't have multiple ones. It's truly one API. But they call the API, and we are going into the network at that moment in time and pulling back that data at that moment in time, sending it, and the data's gone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not that we're keeping big data lakes or anything like that, and saying, "Oh, we just see what we did yesterday, and we give you that information."
Gotcha.
We don't do that.
So then you're sort of, because Prove is how they position very similar. It's like, we hold no data. It just goes transparently through. We give a yes or a no or a rating or something. So do you see them as a competitor, but more North American centric?
So it's interesting. I think they are, and we know those guys very, very well.
Yeah.
They're more further up the food chain, I think, is
in financial services, because of their origins in New York City
and very, in my opinion, very US centric.
Well, they're attempting to go into Europe, but Europe's tough.
It's a hard market, and I mean this lovely to the American audience. Europe is not a country. It's unfortunately, I do speak to a few people across the pond that see it as one, and it's not, right. And
I know it isn't, because I know Germany is like completely different than everybody else in Europe. I'm a germaphobe.
but to the point, Alan, right? You look at Europe. So again, look, Prove to us, we work with them. If you look at our website, we've got their logo on there. I know Roger very well, and the guys know for many years. What they do is slightly different to what we do.
Gotcha.
Right. But we're in the kind of similar space.
Yeah.
But coming back to Europe, although we sit under GDPR, to your point there, Johnny, the German guys and the DPOs in Germany are far stricter than the ones in France, as an example. So SIM-swap, even mobile authentication, they said to us, we want the person to consent to being authenticated. And we're like, isn't that one of the same thing? It's like, how do you do that, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of education that we do in how to use these services. We're not just here's an API, take it off the shelf and run.
Yeah.
There's a lot of education that goes on in each of these markets as well.
And there's a whole service wrap, because you've got all the different legal and regulatory requirements in each of the markets. So yes, there's an API there, but there's actually a service that's being delivered through that API, and that's complex and highly fragmented and maybe even customized to specific businesses' needs.
It's huge. So if you took a global player, again, won't name any, they don't want to get into the complexity, right? They really want one vendor, one single entry point that says, okay, I don't want to know all of the ins and outs. I just want the customer journey to be the same.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
that's a credit card transaction. It's been marked as potentially fraudulent. Sort it out.
And that's why people are struggling to wean off of SMS one-time passwords.
Yes. Yeah.
It's ubiquitous, right? It doesn't matter where you are in the world, maybe not the Christmas Islands, but wherever, you can get an SMS OTP delivered. Now, is some of it gray? Yes. Does it take ages to get delivered? Sometimes. It's got all of these nuances. And the last time I checked, SMS stands for short message service. Nowhere does it say security in there. But but it has its vulnerabilities, right? But they know how the journey works. They've been using it for years. They know it's problematic, but we're now slowly weaning them off. And I think touched upon, we work in India quite extensively, and about 3-4 weeks ago, the RBI made a massive announcement to say SMS OTP should not be used in financial transactions.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And also
they literally made it illegal, or they said they should not be.
It's the regulator, Johnny, and to tread carefully there, so that they give guidance, right? So they will never say you must do A or B or C, but it's online, people can read it, and happy to share, Alan, the link with you afterwards if you.
No, but I mean, in India, it's a different ballgame. I mean, obviously, it comes down to losses that are incurred by not going down the path that they basically recommend. So insurance companies and that type of stuff and coverage. So that's the only difference I make. So, somebody recommends something, or somebody says you have to do it, and then somebody wants to go, hey, we got bail us out, we got defrauded billions. So
I think the difference is
America works differently. I don't really know how India works.
Yeah, so the regulator is basically saying that SMS OTP should not be used. That's specific, right? Should not be used in financial transactions, and an alternative methodology should be used. There's papers that are being worked on at the moment that talk about the SEKURA solution. We won't be cited in terms of physical name, but if you look at the solution, it's basically ours.
Gotcha.
So
now, in India,
congratulations.
They have device binding as well, don't they? In India,
they do, and look, that's common in quite a few places, and countries. But for us and what we do, we don't trust the device.
Cool. So I think
SIM only, and one of the reasons I think, Alan, is if you're fortunate enough, and I say this wholeheartedly, that you've got $1,200 or whatever to buy the latest iPhone 15. The security in those devices, they've got specific chips in them. Fabulous, right? Absolutely great. And wouldn't the world be a beautiful place if everybody could have one of those? But that's not the world.
Yeah.
Right. So if you put in a solution that talks about device binding, yes, it's going to work for a high-end device.
Yeah. If
you've got a low-end Android device, as an example, that is 5-6 years old, there's vulnerabilities in it. Therefore, what do you trust, right? So that's why we only trust the cryptography on the SIM for everything we do.
Now, in India, I thought Airtel had pulled back from doing mobile interconnect. How'd you get around that one?
I knew this interview was going to be tough, but yeah, you're dropping all sorts at me here. So, yes, to shed a bit of light, that there was a company that purchased Mobile Connect from the GSMA. I think it was 2018, 2019, something like that. Airtel were then in the game. However, at the time, Geo was not kind of ready.
Yeah.
And the service in India didn't really take off. And there was a few other things that happened, and Airtel said, look, there's a bit too much jiggery-pokery going on. So we're going to pull back.
Gotcha.
So,
Understood.
we are talking to them. They're looking at our solution right now, which is really good. And we're hoping in the next few months that, Airtel will come forward, join forces with the other operators in India.
Cool. Yeah. They never said it was, thank you and goodbye. It was very much, a pullback.
And they've got a whole new, I think they call it the IQ business, something like that. So they're looking at multiple APIs for access to their network, and the identity side was one. So they've pulled back, generated the IQ business unit, and they'll be coming to the market soon.
Gotcha.
Let me ask you another question, just to go in a different direction. So you talked about to the SIM. I mean, we're gonna have. I mean, you talk about billions of devices from the IoT perspective, right?
Yep, 65
and
billion.
The biggest problem they have is that I'm pretty sure that's on your roadmap. It's got to be, because if not, then
I was about to look behind me to say, can you see our business plan?
No, you know what it is. Look, I spent years dealing with crazy but smart Germans, and in this industry, and I spent a lot of time working with IoT stuff. And one of my buddies is working with this SIM company, so I've been looking at understanding. I'm saying, it's a no-brainer. I mean,
so in answer and
that's huge,
yes, right?
That's huge.
Yes, but
are you doing an IPO? Because I like the market, like the markets.
Look, one day.
That's it. That's the ticket.
But
forget people. That's the ticket.
But Johnny, here's the thing, right? And this is where other people in the market in our world, right? I don't think are doing it the right way. So what you need is a foundation.
It's not even there. What do you mean? There's no security there.
But forget security, right? To play in IoT and keeping IoT safe, to play in mobile identity and keeping people, grandmas, children safe, whatever, ourselves safe, you need access to the mobile operator network, right? Now, when you look at other people in the market, and I'm going to stand on this, and please, I'm happy to have a debate with any other CEO that wants to come on. I'm going to say we've got the best coverage in the world right now, right? In terms of in terms of mobile operator connectivity, I believe SEKURA.id has the best coverage in the world. Okay, now without that connectivity, it doesn't matter what you try and do, you're not going to get access to the SIM. Right? You need that mobile operator connectivity. So when somebody says, like you did at the top end of the call, what's your secret sauce and so on and so forth, that's part of it, right? Apart from having the best CTO in the industry, it's literally that operator connectivity. And that's why we spent more time and money focusing on that first. We're now starting to build out, right? So when we've, probably into 25, 26, we're going to start the IoT journey. But if we started to talk to people about it now, Johnny, they can't even get their head around mobile identity for humans, let alone identity for IoT. So it's small steps, but it's somewhere we want to go. As soon as we crack the IoT, I'd happy to talk about.
You're going to start seeing incredibly amazing, insane stuff happening with devices, IoT. I mean, right now, the stuff that's going to happen with AI, robocalls, AI type stuff, the stuff that's going to happen with devices and cars and that type of stuff is going to be mind blowing. I think the time to sell is now.
Are you writing me a check or what? What do you do?
Look, I'm not writing you a check, but half of our subscribers that are now blocked is Wall Street. People listen. I mean, we have 18,000 subscribers. There are 18,000 people that understand what the hell we're talking about with truth and telecoms, and whether it's the campaign registry or whatever happens over there, whatever we're talking about, or Twilio. A lot of our people, our listeners, are analysts, or Wall Street, or hedge funds. So I'm not writing a check maybe per se, but I've got people texting me all day long, giving me messages because I've called the market cold. I mean, cold. The last 9 months, which is documented. So I'm just saying, like, this is exciting for me because it's tomorrow. because CPaaS isn't a CPaaS, although, and only from a Wall Street perspective. You know, CPaaS is growing. Let me get on the record. It's growing. Yes, APIs, everybody's doing whatever they're doing. But Wall Street's money's not going there. You're trading at one-time revenue, a half the time revenue. I mean, you've got companies like Bandwidth, they're trading at like $20 now. They were down to $9. But they were in the billions of market cap, not coming back. Twilio lost $70 billion in market cap, Mark. Not coming back, not ever. Growth stopped. It's over.
But
Wall Street's coming. The money is going into identity. I know, being in the city, being on Wall Street, how many conversations I've had with guys on identity is here, but really soon.
Yeah.
And that's a different, I don't want to say the word because you'll show it.
Johnny, I want to get across as well, right? If you wind back the clock, where companies, and it could be the CPaaS people, I nearly said CPaaS, but I can't do that. CPaaS people, right? they
CPaaS only according to Wall Street, not that.
Okay,
CPaaS is growing, $1 trillion.
To me, right, these guys, because they already deal with mobile operators, they think they can play in mobile identity, right? So let's follow a journey. You've heard of the company that was called Danao,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, know them well, yeah.
So Danao sold to Boku. Why? Boku played in the payment space and went, wow, we want a bit of this, mobile ID.
Yeah.
We've got connection to mobile operators, et cetera, right? Failed.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it. Didn't have the skill set in the business,
Yeah.
right? What did they do? They sold that to Twilio.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? So Twilio have picked it up and gone, well, we're Twilio, right? We're big, we're huge, we can play in mobile identity, etc. Same thing. One of the biggest issues we have in mobile identity today, there's not enough people that understand it in the world.
Yeah.
There's people that like the idea of it. They call themselves telco people and CPaaS people and how difficult can it be, etc.
Yeah.
There's not many people that truly understand it.
Yeah.
And, as I say, we're blessed. We've got everybody in our business that does. But outside of that, you talk to others, and that's why it's slow.
Yeah.
Right?
We plan on focusing on identity because we know, for me personally, my perspective, me coming on Alan's show, he can go anywhere, he can do whatever he wants. But for me, it's all about identity going forward because it's where the money's going. It's what's needed. To protect grandma, our kids, fraud, our devices, whatever. So I'm done talking about how bad people's valuations are and they can't raise money anymore because they know.
Here's the thing though, Johnny, right? We're not professing to be the silver bullet, right? The way we talk about it is I look at it as an identity wheel and we're components, right? We're spokes within that wheel, right? Exactly. Nobody today has cracked the passport that allows you to travel around the world in a digital way.
That'll come in the future, but you got 2.6 billion subscribers, right? So you got 75 and you've done it with a small team in a few years with a lot of experience. And, as you thank your CTO, there's nothing more important than the CTO as a CEO. So I'm a guy that bets on the driver. I've been stuck with a CTO who's now the CEO over there at a company called fintechs that I got thrown out of again. It's like now it's been a while though, trying to lock me up in Germany. But anyhow, that's another conversation. You should be talking to them with their connectivity, their SS7 platform. You should be talking to guys like him. Look, he's only got to do is you do a deal with him because he's basically abused everybody else there, including myself and the private equity guys, because he sits there and he's humping his own network, and you can't do anything without him. So if you can make a deal with Thorsten, you got yourself a great connectivity platform for IoT.
Look,
boy, I sound smart.
Look, I think one of the things what we're trying to do right now is
a company like him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
I just personally would like to see him sold.
No, look, we're sticking to our focus and into our wheelhouse right now, right? And that's we continue to grow the footprint of the mobile operator connectivity. It doesn't mean that myself and a couple of others in the business aren't looking at potential collaboration, acquisitions, and so on and so forth. But it's doing it at the right time with the right people. We are. I think the danger is, and I've seen it, right? Somebody will onboard a couple of 100 million or 100 million or whatever and go, wow, let's go and acquire this one, this one, and this one. And they lose where they're going.
Yeah.
Right. They
Tulio.
lose focus. There's others as well, right? That it's happened to, in my personal opinion. So we're wanting to go slow and steady, build out with our customers, educate the market. If somebody turned around and said, hey, Mark, here's 100 million, right? I'll be honest, I wouldn't know what to do with that right now. Right. You can't make the mobile operators go any quicker.
Exactly.
Right. They're going to go as quick as they're going to go. Right. So even if you waive, if I went to operator A, it doesn't matter who, right? And I said, right, here's $1 million. Let's get this going. If they've got nothing in place today, it's still 12 months.
Yeah.
Money doesn't make it go quick.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it go quicker. And that's a challenge today.
Yeah.
Well,
it's I had a slide from 20 years ago on the carrier's new product development process, where everybody and their pet dog that sits under the desk needs to be involved in making a decision around a new product. And that is just a natural limitation. But I thought, because I've not, well, you know how it is, it's like a distant memory, because I remember Danal, I always sort of had as a sort of tier 2 asset in this space. And then Boku, I said, well, yeah, I guess. And then when Twilio, there's sort of, I saw it as a more natural home, because they do OTA, they do sort of flash call. So there was a natural fit there. But the problem is the market's evolving as well, because as you say, you're just a couple of spokes in the overall identity verification space. And, we do those bits, and it's all the partnerships with, whether it's a Experian or, it's a global thing. So there's like, companies like, oh my God, like Asia Verify. There's so many different companies in this space where, because of the focus and the expertise in managing all the variations around how Mobile Connect is implemented across the different operators, all the situations that a number can be in. You already indicated when we were chin-wagging before around how your number gets labeled to other operators. And then we've got the whole MVNO issue as well. Some work, some don't, and it's that knowledge so that you can ensure delivery of, a risk or a yes or a no or whatever your customer is asking for that is as true to real time as possible. Oh,
sorry, mute. My bad. I think back to that other challenge, and you kind of touched upon it there. We may have a mobile operator that launches SIM swap, right?
Yep.
Another operator will launch authentication, and it's harmonizing it.
Yes.
Right? But then sometimes an operator may not follow the specification that's been laid out. So their API will be slightly different. It's messy. It's a messy world, right? And I think that's what, when people come into the space thinking that it's going to be easy, they go maybe into one country, they connect to 3-4 operators, they then go, we're not doing this all around the world. This is not what we're geared up to do.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
And that's where some of them then go and focus more northbound.
Yeah. And
then utilize companies like SEKURA.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because in this space, I always point to TeleSign, and I go, these guys have been doing it for over a decade. If you think it's easy, look at those guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now, do you see them as competitive or complementary?
Kind of.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Yeah, it's tricky, right?
Yeah,
it's tricky.
I was just trying to map out the landscape. I can see some that I can, directly sort of go, yeah, direct competitive. But with TeleSign, it was like,
we've got a deck where we list out TeleSign's on there, Prove is on there, Samigo's on there, all of the usual suspects are on there.
Yeah.
And in 2021, they were all competitors. Every single one of them, right? A majority of them now actually buy from us one way or another.
Gotcha. Yep.
So you found your niche. You did a little jiggery poker.
And it's because we do what we do, right?
Yep.
And I think, and it's nice because they recognize that for mobile operator connectivity, we are the go-to.
Yeah.
We understand how to do it, right? And we're not competing at the enterprise level.
Yeah.
There's so much to do this side. It's like, guys, we support you, right? If you want to go and sell to XYZ,
do it.
That's an expensive game as well.
Oh, yeah.
And I think companies have failed when they've tried to do both.
Yes, absolutely.
That's
100%.
That's part of the problem.
Well, I think we found ourselves another star here. You know what I mean? We had, look, we had the Viz, we got Minicelli, we've had some stars. Come on, Peter from Private AI. Real stars. It's just so TADSummit is where the stars of tomorrow come.
Oh yeah,
hey, look,
absolutely.
It's it. We've had it. We stole it. You know what I mean?
I'm merely a person that can bring very, very, very talented people together, and SEKURA is about the people within it. It's not about one individual.
Listen, you're the race car driver, man. I get it. I bet on the driver. Like I said, I bet on the driver, not the car.
I'm often referred to as the tea maker in the office.
The tea maker who knows how to stir it right.
Exactly. That's it.
I love your jiggery pokery. I'm going to use that in the neighborhood. Alan, your chin wag is not going to fly.
It's okay.
I've
got lots more words for you.
Yeah, I'll get beat up if I start telling people, hey, you want to go do some chin wagging?
Yeah, whilst doing a reach around. Yeah, we know.
Yeah. Oh, don't say that, Alan. This has really been great. But look, we're going to start doing a lot of stuff in identity because that's what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So Alan, does a lot of different things and spread out everywhere with his hackathons and everywhere else. But for me, my focus is on identity because I think that's going to end up eventually solving everything. Like you said, it has to, because the insanity is just going to get worse.
Correct.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's just not right. What's happening to real? Everything comes down to real people getting hurt. That's the bottom line here.
Absolutely.
You can't save the world, but in telecom, you shouldn't look the other way. You're either, part of the solution or you're the problem.
Correct.
And the problem in our industry, Mark, and why I appreciate you coming down and have all the respect in the world is people want to look away and they're part of the problem.
Yep, 100% true.
You're part of the solution. So
thank you for that. Thank you for that.
You got another person screaming at you, screaming for you.
Thank you so much. Honestly, guys, it's been a pleasure. Happy to join you on a deeper identity chat. We're going to be launching identity soon.
Oh yeah,
because we're toast with Truth and Telecoms. Banned everywhere. They go on X and have wackos like yelling at us, even wackier than us.
But anyway, Mark, this has been great. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Alan. Thank you, Johnny. It's a pleasure. Take care, guys, and chat soon.
Bye-bye.
All right.